Slide 1. Hello, we are the Sim Lords. Our group members are Cody Geisbers, Vova Plusnikov, Jonah Smith, Aidan Way, and myself, Christy Boone. We chose to explore the cartridge razor industry. To help understand the cartridge razor industry, we need to take a look back on the history of the shaving razor and the tools used before it was developed. Items used to get the unwanted hair off the face included clamshells, daggers, copper and bronze razors, which were quite primitive looking. We discovered that in Egypt, having a clean-shaven face was a sign of a high social status. Having no hair on your face was also a sign of respectability. Slide 2. We chose the cartridge razor industry as our project because it was a market where there were plenty of brands to do an analysis of. We did need to be cautious of brands that were under the same company umbrella, such as Procter & Gamble. Under their company, they produce both Gillette and Braun razors, so Braun was not one of the brands chosen. Instead, the group agreed to review Bic, Dollar Shave Club, Schick, and Gillette. We agreed to focus on the industry position of the Gillette brand. We chose Gillette because it is an industry leader, and we will show how it became that way. Throughout our presentation, we will cover the topics listed on this slide, from determining what problems we are looking to solve to what the future vision is. Slide 3. After reviewing information from grandviewresearch.com, we discovered that the global razor market was valued at $10.2 billion US in 2018. The market was comprised predominantly of men's grooming and the continual growth of personal hygiene standards. Focusing on the cartridge razor market specifically, there were areas of solidity, but also areas of exponential growth in developing countries who are just learning the value of hygiene. I will now turn things over to Aidan to discuss the next slides.
There are many market trends in the disposable razor industry. As climate change is a constant main market driver throughout most markets, it is once again apparent in the disposable razor market, as environmental concerns over packaging and metal use in disposable razors are causing many companies to use more recyclable and environmentally friendly materials. Beards are also becoming more popular with younger audiences, as over the past decade, a negative trend in shaving from shaving 3.7 times per month to 3.2 times per month. This decrease in shaving means a decrease in consuming of disposable razors. And another market trend is that developing countries are starting to adopt more personal hygiene habits, and this allows for many new potential and growing markets, as generally it was almost thought of in the past that developing countries did not value hygiene, where it is now have been found that developing countries highly value hygiene, but are only able to consume it in ways that their finances and that their cultures allow for it. And therefore, if navigating these new cultures and these new demographics for shaving companies may be difficult, it also shows a great opportunity to expand.
Thank you, Aidan. On slide 5, there's a trend analysis, and what's really important to consider about this graph that you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner is that, number 1, the razor market is continually growing. As you can see, there's 3 types of razors considered there: cartridge, disposable, and electric. And we're looking at the cartridge razors in this project, so it's important to note that the cartridge is actually the largest portion of that market as a whole when it comes to shaving. The following slides, 6, 7, and 8, are questions that we would have asked in class, but we're going to skip over those. And now I'd like to pass it on to Cody.
Biche and Edouard Buffard began manufacturing pens in France. Quick success came, and by 1950, when the company was officially named Bic, and they released their crystal ballpoint pen, which allowed them in 1958 to expand to a U.S. market through the acquisition of Waterman Pen Organization. The Bic brand first razor made its appearance in 1975 after about 2 years of research, and it was actually the first razor to allow men to shave quickly and safely, as before men would use straight razors, which are much more dangerous. Since then, 60 billion disposable Bic razors have been sold throughout the world in over 160 countries. Bic's products are generally more low-cost plastic items and are oftentimes the most affordable in their product category. They're also known for their lighters, their pens, among many others low-cost plastic items. Bic's competitive positioning has manifested itself in many different areas. Through its competitive advantage of low cost and consistent quality experience, as well as a range for all consumers. They have improved effectiveness through new centralized procurement organizations and have innovated in their new global market consumer insights team. This allows them to further develop many of their current products. It is also viewable in their consumer-centric brands and their global customer relationship management platform and their distribution channels through e-commerce and through physical stores. However, they do have competitive disadvantages as their current brand association is low cost, which in many consumers' minds they attribute to low quality. And as it is quantity rather than quality, which allows for their profit margin to be so low, but their overall profits to be high, a SWOT analysis of Bic has revealed that they have many internal strengths and opportunities, as well as some weaknesses and threats. The internal strengths being that they have an excellent reputation and excellent customer service, which builds customer loyalty and promotes the further consumption of their products. They also have a large variety of products, of low-cost plastic products, as well as many markets that they're currently in, allows them to have a wide, diverse revenue stream. However, their internal weaknesses are that they are of low quality and disposal. This means that there is lower switching costs, as well as the fact that because they are low quality, generally people, and especially once in a better economy, people will graduate to a different level of quality of product. They also have a slower expansion. They are much more hesitant to enter new markets, which potentially allows for other companies to enter that market and therefore not allow them to have as much of a market share as possible. However, they have many opportunities as they have not yet expanded to markets like China or India, which are the two most populated countries in the world. Therefore, if they want to expand, because their reputation is worldwide, entering new markets is easy because they are already known as a company. However, they also have threats, which is competing against better quality products. As mentioned before, better quality products are generally more consumed in better economies, and people prefer to have better products. And there's also a low switching cost. Therefore, if people feel that they don't dislike the product for whatever reason, there is not a difficulty with purchasing another similar product as it is so low cost. The future of Bic is bright. Through investing into corporate social responsibility across the company in terms of sustainability, safe work environments, investing in education, and trying to lower their carbon footprint, as they currently are at using 50% less water since 2008. They have also invested heavily into TerraCycle, which is Bic's recycling branch in Europe, where they've collected over 46 million pens in order to recycle them. Their current plan is a 5-step process. The first step, fostering sustainable innovation in big products as they're trying to lower their societal footprint. Number two is acting against climate change, as BIC by 2025 will be using 80% of renewable electricity. Number three is committing to a safe work environment, as by 2025 BIC aims for zero accidents across all operations. Number four, proactively involving suppliers, as by 2025 BIC will responsibly and work with its strategic suppliers in order to secure innovation and effective sourcing of materials in order to, again, lower the carbon footprint. And five is improving lives through education, as BIC will be investing heavily into the education of over 250 million children globally. BIC has a bright future, and I hope it continues to grow as the great company that it is.
Thanks, Aiden. Schick is a brand of personal care and safety razors owned by Edgewell Personal Care. The company was founded in 1926 and was purchased by Energizer in 2003 from Pfizer. Energizer split into two companies in 2015, and Schick became part of Edgewell's Personal Care. Schick does a fantastic job meeting current customer needs in the sense of providing environmental and energy-saving products. Analyzing Schick's marketing strategy, we found they're a stable brand that are defenders in the affordable and disposable razor market. They maintain a secure and relatively stable market without much innovation. Furthermore, Schick attempts to retain customers and targets millennials through their advertising campaigns, which I will expand on later. Additionally, Schick's marketing mix is interesting. Schick sells products at retail stores, such as Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, etc. And they also sell their razors online at shaving.com and schick.com. Their products are similar to competing brands and are priced relatively cheap. Comparing these price points to competing brands, we find Schick roughly in the middle, not as cheap as BIC, however they're cheaper than the leading brand in the market, Gillette. What is most interesting from Schick's marketing mix was how they promoted their products differently. Schick aimed commercial advertisements and magazine advertisements at millennials. This was accomplished through promoting their razors through youthful magazines such as Sports Illustrated and other sports commercials. We see this strategy in action in the advertisement Zach Hyman and Gary Roberts, Schick, the man I am. Furthermore, we see Schick using a sex appeal technique in commercial advertisements, which can be seen in the commercial Trim the Bushes. Finally, we looked into Schick's SWOT analysis. Schick's immediate strengths are their current, well-established global operating platform. Schick is able to share information, provide developments, and provide easy methods of payment. This is all accomplished internationally without being limited by different national systems. Additionally, they have a strong brand name and a wide range of products. Schick's weaknesses are their lack of responsible leadership and a short-term profit focus. These issues stem from change in leadership culture and style. Additionally, it brought about changes in company's management style as the business now focuses on short-term profit maximization strategies by being defenders in the market. Moreover, Schick cut costs, reduced staffing, reduced funding, and refrains from innovating for short-term profits. Looking at Schick's external factors, Schick has opportunities that have led them and will continue to lead them to a strong brand in the market. Arguably, Schick's most differentiated trait is their environmental and energy-saving features. People's views are changing in regard to the environment. There's an increasing concern and demand for environmental and energy-saving appliances. Moreover, there's growing concern about climate change, and Schick captures this demographic well. However, threats for Schick are similar to many other razors and cosmetic brands. There's an increasing amount of competition, cheap goods from other countries after being imported, i.e. from Japan, and finally, there are changes in customer preferences and demands. Thank you. Now Jonah will go into detail about the final competing brand to Gillette, the Dollar Shave Club.
Thank you very much, Cody. Now I'm going to speak about Dollar Shave Club. Switch to the next slide. Dollar Shave Club was founded by Mark Levine and Michael Dubbin. The pair met at a party and spoke of their frustrations with the cost of razor blades. Mark Levine mentioned that he had a bunch of razors and offered for Michael Dubbin to come take a look the next day. At the party, they had spoken about how they were not happy with the experience of buying a razor. They didn't like that you had to go in, had to inconveniently ask someone to open up the case, and overall, the experience wasn't something that they found very desirable. So the next day, they went in. Mark Levine showed him the storage locker, and Michael Dummon saw 250,000 razors and a couple thousand cake slicers. And this really started everything. Michael Dubbin had a strong history working in media, working with the Kenneth Page program. He worked in a lot of different marketing companies, and the last firm he worked for was a digital marketing firm, and specifically he worked on the video and cinematography sector of that. They basically wanted to take on Gillette, and they wanted to do this by giving them and their customers a better story. Vova talks about this further, but when they launched in 2012, the razor market was dominated by Gillette, and basically in 2005, Procter & Gamble bought them for $57 billion. Schick was a distant second, but Dubbin saw an opening. He started by undercutting the big competitors on razors and then built out something that felt less like a shaving company and more like a full-scale men's club. But we're not going to get into that today. The way he really was able to get not only to his customers, but also investors was by this amazingly provocative video. And once he showed the investors this video, they immediately changed their perspective, thinking that the space was initially too difficult to get into, to realizing that Dollar Shave Club really had a great business model. So the video was released in March 6, 2012, and it went viral the first day, and they sold out of all their razors, all 250,000 of them. They had to send emails and do customer support in order to make sure that the customers that didn't get their razors were still satisfied and they could maintain that long-term customer value. So again, they wanted to take on Gillette. They wanted to give their customers a better story. And really, the way to do this is they had to use a guerrilla warfare technique, relying on Michael Dubbin's previous digital marketing history. They had to make a bang in order to be seen. And really, we can say they changed the industry with one video. Now, quick question for the class. Who's heard of Dollar Shave Club? And who thinks they know what video I might show? Great. Now, I want you to pause this audio recording, click in the link, which is in the notes of the slides, and watch the video, please. And then get back to the slides.
Good, and now you should have had a chance to watch over that video there. If you didn't, pause this. It's linked at the bottom of the slide in the notes section. But the video finishes saying, shave time, shave money. And this is a simple message. Simply, we're going to do things different. It's going to be online, $1. You never have to remember to get razors, etc. So this video resonated so well because it's had great humor, obviously. It's innovative, and basically it's offering a great product at as a very reasonable and basically industry-leading price point. So this was a direct-to-consumer video, and now it's one of the most seen advertisements used in many cases, and it has over 26 million views. So if we could just flip to the next slide here. What were the results of this sort of campaign? Well, within 3 years, Dollar Shave Club gained 20 to 25% market share. And they really forced the industry to change the way they do business. Gillette then went to an online subscription sort of based format. New companies were popping up like Harry's. And in July 2016, the personal care product giant Unilever acquired Dollar Shave Club in an all-cash $1 billion deal. So let's quickly review Dollar Shave Club SWOT analysis. So their strengths. They have the first mover advantage in the online subscription-based format. This allowed Dollar Shave Club to directly compete with big firms without having to put out the same capital expenditures or spend time to build the relationships with brick and mortar stores or other sort of distributors. They have a strong online presence on different social media networks and efficient social media management, and this can enhance the effect of positive electronic word of mouth and develop strong relationships with customers, which will build long-time customer value. Finally, they have a strong financial position, and that can allow them to further their investments and sort of expand their product line. Opportunities. There's a few opportunities. The main one is the fact that the changing of customer needs, tastes, and preferences can act as an opportunity if the business organization has good knowledge. Thus, investment into understanding consumer preferences will allow the Dollar Shave Club to expand its market share and continue to be competitive in an ever-changing and very saturated market. And then finally, rising customer disposable income. Simply put, as more affluent customers enter their target audience, they will likely have more money to spend on personal care products, and therefore Dollar Shave Club can offer products which have higher margins to these customers. Weaknesses, environmental concerns. There is lots of debate about disposable razors being poor for the environment. You see that the company may lose efficiency due to poor inventory management practices, and that's because it's all on them. If they don't have the right management and they don't get their inventory right, they can either go out of stock or carry too much inventory, and that can lead to real problems. And in comparison to the major players like Gillette, they really don't spend as much on market research and development, which may prove to be a downfall of the company over the long term, as customers will expect greater value, i.e. greater performance, out of a product. Threats, increased competition. It's a very competitive marketplace. Harry's, as I mentioned previously, came into the marketplace, went sort of with an online and brick and mortar presence, and it was recently acquired for $1.37 billion, continuing a trend of consolidation in the industry. And then the rise of inflation as tariffs and other sort of inflating factors in the economy continue to increase. This is going to increase the cost of everything.
Thank you, Jonah. And moving on to slide 23, we're going to be talking about Gillette. King Cam Gillette founded the Gillette Company in 1901 by inventing the best-selling version of the safety razor. Born in a family of entrepreneurs, Gillette has been struggling to come up with his own solid idea for a while. During his career in sales at the Crown Cork and Seal Company, he built a good relationship with the founder of the bottle cap, William Paetner. And that was him who told King Gillette to invent something as disposable as his bottle cap if he really wants to become successful. The first ever safety razor produced by Gillette included the blade so thin and strong that at first had been deemed impossible to manufacture by many scientists. Public also gives the Gillette Company a lot of credit for inventing and adopting razor and blade business model. The company was actually forced to do so when their first patents on razor and blades were coming to an end and they were facing an increasing competition. With the first entry to the market and with the list price of $5, which is equivalent to $150 today, Gillette's first safety razor was a prime example of a luxurious product that was roughly worth the third of an average weekly pay in the early 900s. But when the 1904 patents were ready to expire, the Gillette Company introduced a new patent for the new set of safety razors that entered the market with the same $5 price tag. That is when the company decided to exercise the razor and blade strategy that had been used by their low-end competitors in an attempt to grab a bigger market share. King Gillette and his partners lowered the price for the old type model to the competitive $1. The sales went through the roof. And with that simple strategy, Gillette was able to reach out to many more demographic groups that had seen Gillette as a premium product. All of a sudden, the old type became affordable to them. Therefore, they were ready to pay for a relatively cheap razor handle and commit to buying disposable razors that became the bread and butter for the company for the next century. And because of the high margins on blades, Gillette was able to lose some money while selling their razor handles for almost nothing. It's really important to mention their marketing strategy on the early stages. The Gillette company used athlete endorsements in their ads in magazines. Often you would see baseball players promoting Gillette. The other important event happened in 1917 when the military regulations required every soldier provide their own shaving kit, and Gillette's compact kit with disposable blades outsold competitors whose razors required stropping. Gillette marketed their razor by designing a military-only case decorated with the U.S. Army and Navy insignia. And in 1917, the company sold 1.1 million razors to the Army. As a consequence, millions of servicemen got accustomed to daily shaving using Gillette's razor. After the war, Gillette utilized this in their domestic marketing and used advertising to reinforce the habit acquired during the war. On slide 24, I'm going to be talking about the period of time for the company when they went from good to great. Good to Great is one of the books that I actually read last summer, written by Jim Collins. This book talks about 11 great CEOs that took their companies to the new heights. One of those 11 CEOs was Comm Meckler, a first-class CEO with a perfect mindset and admiring strategy to lead a company to success. He set an example of a level 5 leader who's unselfish, determined, unbothered, and most importantly, caring. In his 15 years as CEO with Gillette, Meckler led the company to new heights never seen before. With Meckler at the helm, Gillette became an enormous force in the market, outperforming it by 300%. While the venerable brand had enjoyed a reputation as a producer of quality shaving products for decades, Meckler's vision restructured the company, leading to soaring sales and unprecedented corporate stability. The company survived 2 takeover attempts and 1 buyout. Coleman Meckler and his management team could have accepted millions of dollars as the payout after selling their shares as a result what could have been a Raiders takeover. But instead of accepting a 44% price premium for their shares offered by a notorious raider and flipper, Ronald Perelman, the team continued to pave the way for what's going to be labeled as the most successful razor blade company on the planet. By August 1988, Gillette won their 6-month-long proxy fight against Coniston Brothers that were seeking 4 seats on the board with an opportunity to later sell the company for a huge profit. Gillette had reached to thousands of individual investors in an attempt to succeed collecting a big capital for future company developments. One of those individual investors is Warren Buffett, who is still the biggest individual investor at Gillette, owning around 10% of the company's stock. Meckler joined Gillette in 1957 as the assistant in the accounting department. Then he was promoted to treasurer, vice president, executive vice president, and president, eventually serving as the company's CEO and the chairman of the board. As a prime example of the hard worker who climbed the company's ladder, Coleman almost never conducted an external search to fill a position. Before turning to an extreme, he himself browsed the company for a right person to fill the position. Even when they were looking to hire someone from elsewhere, they always were saying, if you're not 100% excited about Gillette, you should not apply. Coleman Meckler believed that if the company initially picked the A-plus people, excellent employees, it was not a problem to find them a fit in the company. It was always essentially about getting the right people on the bus first and then worrying about their roles, seats on the bus. In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins says that Coleman Meckler spent 55% of his time during his first 2 years in the office jiggering around with the management team, changing or moving 38 of the top 50 people. All along, he was known as a businessman with values, working for the good of the company as a whole rather than personal gain or notoriety. As Gillette grew more and more successful under his watch, Coleman repeatedly fought to resist hostile takeovers. Meckler felt that protecting his company from takeovers not so much a strategic move as it was a moral imperative. The well-being of thousands of employees is at stake. The people who will benefit will be the investors who are motivated by money. My management team and board of directors and I look beyond to see the worldwide Gillette family, many of whom will lose their jobs if the company is bought out. A man of deep faith and a sound moral compass, he was held up as an example of a successful, principled business leader. It's very important to mention two major changes that happened during Coleman's tenure. The first one, changing its economic denominator. The company went from calculating profit per division to profit per customer, reflected the economic power of repeatable purchases times high profit per purchase. Muckler's second power move was a $275 million investment in research and development. If it weren't for all those investors during the proxified years, we wouldn't have seen sensor and Mag 3 technology. Coleman Meckler was a selfless and reserved leader. He never put himself above anyone else. In 1999, when Coleman Meckler saw himself on the cover of Forbes magazine holding a Gillette razor above his head, he was overwhelmed with emotions. On the way back to his office, he had a heart attack and he never recovered. On the next slide, we did the SWOT analysis for Gillette. The company's biggest strength is definitely the association with Procter & Gamble. As another company that has a lot of experience in consumer goods and very strong research orientation. A popular name in households, the trust that the name P&G evokes in the mind of the customers is one of Gillette's biggest advantages. After the buyout by P&G, about 6,000 jobs were eliminated of the combined workforce of about 114,000, and most of them by eliminating managerial overlaps and consolidating operations. Gillette and Procter & Gamble have similar cultures and complementary core strengths in branding, innovation, scale, and go-to-market capabilities, making it a terrific fit. The second strength is continuous innovation. Gillette is credited with being one of the most innovative companies in the business. Their core product is a shaving razor, but through a stream of innovations, they have given the product so many augmentations. This appetite for innovation is a core strength of the brand. The third strength is definitely the problem-based approach. A razor is just needed to remove unwanted or extra hair, but Gillette has been able to define new and unseen needs with respect to shaving and develop products that meet those needs, creating scope for a lot of variants. High operating margins is another strength of the company. Razors are one of the most profitable businesses for Procter & Gamble, and currently Gillette is one of their flagship brands with operating margins as high as 30%. Market sensitivity. Though a product like a razor can be seen as global, Gillette has been extremely sensitive to cultural changes and have custom designed products to suit the needs of the customers of each market they operate in. As one of the company's weaknesses, their products are high-priced and complex. Many of the recent innovations feel like peripheral gimmicks and necessities, meaning that the brand has failed to create a platform convincing enough to kill off either the competition or its predecessor. The lack of customer awareness. Gillette has always been focused on innovating and creating need-based differentiation for the variants, but the customer perceived a razor as just something for removing unwanted hair. This created a need for customer education, which the company was unable to address initially. Many view their reliance in celebrity advertising as a weakness as well. Increased importance to beauty and growth potential are one of the opportunities for Gillette. There is a growth in the number of middle-class countries across the globe. The middle class has a set of needs that are growing, and this means there is more scope for new products that can satisfy these growing needs. Also, the prosperity to spend. In emerging economies, there is a surge of income because of the growing numbers of dual-income households. The middle-income group has more to spare, and this propensity to spend has also increased their impulsive spending. And we also have non-sustainable spending and competition as the two major threats for Gillette. On the next slide, we're talking about the current state and the marketing strategy recommendations for Gillette from our group. In the short term, the company needs to win back ground at the heart of the category by refocusing on the brand's core competence, the razor blades.
Slide 27. Thank you, gentlemen, for presenting your findings on Bic, Dollar Shave Club, Schick, and Gillette. We would like to thank you for listening to our presentation and exploring the accompanying YouTube videos. We hope the information provided was as smooth and clean as a shave that one or all of the razors mentioned would provide you. Thank you.